I feel that Stormwind is the type of game that's well made and well liked, but is always just one good night of sleep away from getting completely forgotten. Fortunately for me, I'm partially insomniac, and apparently the rest of the world is too, so it's probably fine. Pick either the cannon or the machine gun. I recommend picking the machine gun. Rotation is kinda limited with this gun, but it fires a lot faster. It may have some blind spots, but it's a lot easier to use. Sniper Tower pierces armor and deals a lot of damage, the premier secondary weapon. So this is the main gameplay. A ledge at the side of a mountain where you fight. As with all video games, they start you off easy. Just these fly-like drones that can't hurt you and some helicopters. We will soon get some bigger ships like these steampunk hot air balloons. Hit either the exposed balloon parts or the engine for more damage. If you're wondering why they are so exposed, remember that blimps were actually used for war at one point. The aesthetics of this game is a lot more simply drawn than I remember, but it is still pretty neat. The dirty and barely working scrap piles really give off a desperate and ragtag vibe. Now we have weird singular hot air balloons with cannons attached to the bottom of them. You may have noticed that we get money and EXP. Money is for buying new towers and repairs, of course, and your turrets do level up. So far they go on a set path. The machine gun now shoots a little faster and will deal more damage later on. Hey look, later is here. Our machine gun's damage just doubled. It fires a bit slower now, but it will ramp back up. Selling the sniper, buying the furnace. The strongest tower in this entire series. It's an aura that provides a damage ramp to your other towers. Also kind of serves as a tank in this game. The machine gun is currently unaffected by it since it's a percentage boost, not a multiplier, but it will be pretty valuable later on. Okay, the furnace just leveled up. I'm dealing 3 damage per shot now. Later has arrived again. I can probably get the sniper back now, but your towers share EXP, and I think these two are the most important ones, so I'm just gonna wait a bit. You know, this game is pretty solid. Just a variety of towers you use to shoot down a variety of airships. Numbers are balanced pretty nicely, and there's always new stuff coming towards you. You get more towers and fight more types of ships later in the series, but the gameplay doesn't really change at all. I'm guessing that's the reason why the developers just refuse to call any of the games Stormwind 2. Like it's Stormwind, Stormwind 1.5, and Stormwind The Lost campaigns. The 3 games are effectively a trilogy. They might as well just be called Stormwind 1, 2, and 3. Hell, the games have a canon story, and they all take place in a linear timeline. Oh god, these elephant ships. The front is heavily armored. If the furnace didn't exist here, I would be dealing 0 damage instead of 1. Something a little strange about the first game is that there are just no sound effects. It's just the one soundtrack playing in the background. If you play the later games, you may find this a little awkward as the guns there have fairly distinctive sounds. And the bigger ships explode in a cacophony. It's just completely silent here. Alright, bringing the sniper back. Oh shit, the small red flies. So the grey fly drones before were annoying to hit, but they didn't do any damage. These red ones are the exact same, but now they can shoot at you, and they have more HP. This would be a lot more annoying without the furnace. And the elephant ships are back. This is what the sniper was built for. I missed! Oh, it's too low level. I didn't even one-shot. 2 new tower slots. I thought only 3 turns were too little. The fire rate buffer reduces the cooldown of all towers. Guns now shoot faster. Simple. You know what? Let's try the flame cannon. It's really meh. The enemy is straight up sending regular biplanes now. They drop bombs on you very quickly. Let's give the flame cannon 1 more level. That's pretty bad. Okay, 1 more level. It's too slow as a primary and doesn't deal enough damage and is far too inaccurate to act as a secondary. The sniper is just way better. 1 final chance. Okay, maybe the flame cannon can find usage as a main tank. You know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna sell it. Let's just get the lightning chicken. It can chain damage onto several enemies and it's good for large groups. Also, it's just a point and click, so it's really easy to use. Now we are fighting against regular blimps. They are not even that steampunk themed. Boss wave. I like this boss. Different music is playing. Hurrah. This thing is tanky and there are a bunch of smaller red drones, but 4 damage per shot and dealing double damage to the weak spot, it goes down faster than I expected. Now, normally this would be the final boss, but there is a deluxe edition of this game with 10 more levels and some new enemies. First off are these weird orb things. When they are sparking, it means that they are completely immune to damage, and it can get real annoying if you let them clump up. They have actual armored balloons now too. It's really hard to hit the weak spot, and the armor is the toughest one yet. What is this thing? Oh, it can teleport. It's dead. Okay, let's try something kinda risky here. Selling the lightning chicken to afford the meteor summoner. Hope I don't regret this. That's kinda cool, okay? And it sucks, goddammit. Why did I trust a different fire tower? I should have learned my lesson from the flame cannon. I'm sorry I left you, chicken. You are back to level 1 again, but you are already way better than that overpriced bit. We are going to get the lightning chicken back up to speed as fast as we can. This right here is the endgame squad. They don't have anything new for us now, they are just sending a lot of them. Even the copters and those base airships are back. This is it. Nah, the boss at the 25th wave was honestly cooler looking, but it does deal a lot more damage on the account of the large squad of planes just dropping bombs constantly. Holy shit, I barely made it. Our main gun died just as it fired its last shot. One plane is still alive, and I'm pretty lucky that it just doesn't fly high enough to hit the sniper tower. Okay, let's move on to something with sound effects. As I said before, the gameplay between these games are entirely the same. The main difference really comes from the structure of the waves. It's no longer just one stage with 35 waves, it's now 8 different stages with 10 waves each. When the turrets level up now, you get 2 skill points which you can spend on upgrades. Each individual tower has its own upgrades. It'll cost 10 points to increase damage on a dual machine gun by 1, but it will only cost 1 point to increase the damage of the sniper tower by 3. Your turrets get reset on every new stage, but for every stage you have already completed, every tower will get 2 additional skill points to start. And you get some extra money. So the dual machine gun is exactly what it sounds like. It deals the same amount of damage per bullet, but it has double the amount of bullets. Getting to hear sound effects for shooting a turret and destroying ships makes a much larger difference than you would think. I like the little pop sounds the ship makes when they shatter. The bigger ships go out in a very important sounding explosion. And the drone of the constantly firing machine guns is surprisingly nice. Like, it's not grating, which is good because I'm going to be hearing this a lot. In general, sound effects are an underappreciated field in many forms of media. There is now a nice little wave meter in the bottom right, so you can actually tell when a wave is going to end. Alright, let's try out this new flank cannon. It's okay. It's a kinda cool looking AoE. Let's try the remote missile. So the missile follows your mouse. You can fire it and switch to your main gun and it will still be active. Think I'm better off with the now cheaper $8,000 furnace. 2 new enemies appear in this level. These chubby ships that move slowly and drop bombs on you. I guess the planes, who do the exact same thing but faster, would have been too strong for the first stage. There are also these shrimp-shaped ships. They seem to be like 50% gun barrel. They shoot a new type of ammo at you. These extra big cannon rounds deal a lot of damage, but they move slowly, and they are so big that you can just shoot them out of the sky. These shrimp ships are a regular enemy in literally the next stage, but a group of them here serve as a boss wave for the first stage. I see mountain background. The decoy spawner is the first tower whose main purpose is to be a tank. It will send out these small drones that the enemy will shoot at. Main downside is that they can take up a lot of screen space. Anyway, we are back to classic sniper, furnace, and machine gun. The enemy also seems to have tank ships now. The sideway T ships don't have guns and mainly serve as a wall. They are completely immune to machine gun fire. Pierce the armor with a sniper. This game is in 2D, but have you ever wondered how this type of ship would work in 3D space? Like, it would literally just be a wall. Every person alive can see how this would be incredibly impractical. But having a flying wall is just objectively hilarious. Someone do it. Eastern Plains. We are at a pretty low altitude in this stage. You can actually see the ground now, alongside some literal tank units they have. Seeing non-Air Force units does make the opposing force feel a little bit more fleshed out. Now, let me introduce you to the strategy that works for like 99% of the game. One machine gun, and everything else is a furnace. The machine gun just fires too fast. If you can get the base damage to ramp up, you can destroy everything almost instantly. Armor almost seems to not matter. The machine gun seems to be balanced with 1 to 2 damage per shot in mind. 5 damage per bullet is insane, and we are not nearly fully ramped up yet. Later stages will be obliterated with this strategy. But for now, let's just test out the artillery tower. That's actually pretty good. Well, I won't be showing the ramping up yet. These guys just start with a ton of armored units right off the bat. I kinda need the sniper and the furnace at the very first wave in order to survive. It's not too bad to just have like the classic setup here. This mountain pass also seems to be the setting for the first game. This is the last level, according to short blurbs, but there are 3 extra ones after this. We now have enough money to start the stage with the best offensive gun in the game, the minigun. It has the fastest rate of fire. You can't even see the bullets fly, which is honestly kind of annoying. It doesn't have full 360 rotation, and you need 14 skill points in order to upgrade its base damage, but it has a starting base damage of 3, so ramping up is way faster with this gun. I have barely started and I'm just tearing through everything already. The enemies are on screen for like a second. Drones and planes are getting one shot. As long as the wall ship doesn't show up, we are not losing. Even these new floating fortress type ships are dying far too quickly to be any threat. Hey look, it's the mid-boss from the first game. I'm dealing 25 damage per bullet at like 5 bullets per second. This boss isn't going to last long. What the hell is that bar at the bottom? I think I broke it. Extra campaign times. New, slightly armored airships. We also start with a minigun this level, so nobody's a threat. What's kind of annoying are these protector drones. They don't damage you, they just shield other ships with their barrier, reducing damage by like 75%, which also stacks with the armor. There are also these big protective ships, but they themselves have more HP and thicker armor. Ooh, these new Giga Elephant ships, they have the heaviest armor in the game, and they split up into 3 regular elephant ships when they die. If they send this to me in one of the earlier stages, this could legitimately be a boss. Still though, once you start ramping up, none of these guys are a threat. One new weapon, the Apocalypse Cannon. It's a screen wiper. Instantly kills any non-boss enemies, and I'm using it at a boss wave. This yellow lion ship has 2 constantly firing machine guns and teleports everywhere while being relatively small. This wave also has like 8 shielding drones as support for this rich person ship. Like, come on now, this would definitely be the Ferrari of the airship world, wouldn't it? It's too bad the minigun is just too strong. Hey, it's all the enemies from the extra stages in the first game. They sent the wall ship to fight me this time, so I have to use the sniper tower here. Doesn't matter how much I ramp, that thing is immune to small arms fire. They do stop showing up after a certain wave, so 4 furnaces baby. I don't care how many armored sky fortresses you have, it is not a wall ship. Edge of a volcano, last level. You start off with a lot of money, like a minigun and 4 furnaces worth of money. You know what's happening now. Final boss. Hey, it's the same as the last game. And he is gone. Wow, okay. There are some extra challenge levels you can do, each focusing on a certain tower. Also, 1 extra large challenge stage. I mean, it starts you with enough money for a minigun and 4 furnaces. And it gives you 31 skill points to start. That is enough to max out the damage amp in each furnace and have 1 point to spare. What can possibly stop me here? Oh god, it's the wall ship. I can't touch him. I have been ruined. Oh no. No!
It has been 4 years since the last attack. We held our ground, held off their invasion. and paid the price. Faith broken, lives destroyed. It was time to prepare for an invasion of our own. 4 years of rebuilding. 4 years of silence. Until they returned once again. Carried like a storm on the wind. 4 years was washed away as a tsunami washes over an anthill. And this time, I'm afraid, all may be lost.
So the last campaigns are the biggest jump in quality for these games. It takes place 4 years after Stormwind 1.5. It sets the tone that the entire game is about fighting a losing war. A bunch of the enemies have been redesigned to look a bit better. Some may look completely different, but mechanically they are basically the same. Lots of new guns are present. The most useful one is the junk pile. It's a cheap tank, it just lies there and soaks up damage. It's completely immune to machine gun fire, and it is the best defensive tower. The new guns are a bit more creative than before. This one shoots air mines at people. Here is a tower that unleashes a whole group of air mines into the sky. The leech cannon fires parasite ammo that drags down ships. It doesn't deal a lot of damage, but it will make certain ships just crash out of the sky. The airship pad gives us a little buddy that will fight alongside you. The bomb drones will give you a bunch of little buddies that will fly across the screen, occasionally dropping bombs. The boss of the first stage is just one Giga Elephant ship. These are a bit tougher if you don't have 4 furnaces ready. We are going to the jungle. What the hell are these ships? It's just a wall on a chain being held up by some balloons. Some of these ships are kinda silly, but this one is a whole different level. How would this work in a 3D space? Like, what? You know, you can get surprisingly far with just a dual machine gun and a junk pile. Tried out the new tri-machine gun at the end, and this one is too much of a spread. This level has some new helicopter carrier enemies. They will slowly detach 3 different copters if you let them live. I didn't. You get to pick between 2 stages here. Back to the snowy mountains. Alright, let's do something a little bit different here with the disc launcher. Doesn't fire as fast as a machine gun, and it's also a physics-based weapon, but each disc can hit multiple ships at once, and its base damage is pretty high. The biggest downside is honestly the amount of times you'll have to click. The junk pile being immune to machine gun fire makes it soak up a lot of damage. Like a good half of the enemies only have machine guns. Time for the final evolution of those annoying to hit little fly drones. Went from the harmless ones, to the ones with guns, to the ones that can teleport. They have even more HP now and are the most annoying thing to hit. Much more so with a physics-based weapon like the disc launcher. There are also these carrier ships. After it dies, it will spawn 4 of these teleporting flies. Still not enough money for the machine gun. I'm gonna try these plasma guns. They are connected to each other, so you can fire multiple of these guys at once. New tank ship. This one isn't immune to machine gun fire, but it has the toughest type of armor, and the antenna at the back can shield other units, but for some reason does have a strangely low amount of HP. Back to the city, and back to the machine gun and junk pile. Okay, I guess I need 2 piles then. Alright, back to the classic setup of the machine gun, sniper, and furnace. I should note that they actually nerfed the furnace in this game. The damage amp is the exact same. They just nearly doubled the price. It's 15,000 up from 8,000. So I guess I'm gonna check out this new expensive weapon. That was pretty cool. There are some towers that are meant to buff the solar cannon and do nothing else. These alligator ships actually do have a mini solar cannon of their own. I'm just not going to let them use it. This is the finale in the story. We are defending the last city to buy time for the evacuation. There aren't any more new enemies here besides the final boss. The first wave just starts you with bosses from previous stages. Thankfully, the junk pile's machine gun immunity comes in clutch every time. I eventually do get to ramp up, and they are sending everything, but the sheer power of each machine gun bullet dealing 13 damage just melts away everything they can send. The final boss is actually rather strong. It has 3 phases to it. This giant armored warship that fires 5 big cannons at once, we blow off the outer shell, and now we have to destroy these 3 balloons, who each have a shield unit active. This stage of the boss fires lasers at you. Once you destroy that layer, like 7 teleporting flies spawn, alongside a stronger version of the rich man ship that has a lot more HP. It's honestly a really cool boss. It's pretty unique, but you can clearly see that this is kind of a fuse upgrade of previous mini-boss ships. So we beat it, but story-wise we still lose the war. They were clearly planning for a sequel. This isn't the final stage though. There's one extra campaign that's just a 25 wave gauntlet. I set up a minigun, 3 furnaces, and a fire rate buffer. Didn't even have a junk pile. Reached 19 damage per bullet in the end. There's no extra boss here, just hordes of the mini-boss enemies. Turns out there's a max level for deterrents. It's 30. I said this near the beginning, but the gameplay in this little trilogy is just solid. Update the graphics a bit, add some more guns and enemies, and you're good. The entire game is just us manning a steampunk anti-air battery, and it's very fun. I don't know why I can't think of any modern games that does something like this. Wave defense, kinda like tower defense, is basically a dead genre at this point, which is kind of a shame. There is still some potential in this little niche. The creator of the Stormwind games, Hero Interactive, who also made Bubble Tank, seems to have mostly moved on from game development. Well, it's not like that's an uncommon story. These are games that I really like, but like the community surrounding it is basically dead. I want to do something, but I am a nobody in this world. The best thing I can currently do for this little set of 3 games is to not forget that they exist and to keep them within my memories for as long as I can.